Hi there, this is my channel, Jaru Walks. In the year 2024, I will embark on an epic walking journey across the United States. I plan to hike 8,000 miles and to cross the US 3 times, via the Appalachian Trail, Pacific Crest Trail, and Continental Divide Trail. In the hiking world, this is known as a calendar year Triple Crown and has been completed by only a handful of hikers in history. The calendar year Triple Crown has traditionally been completed by jumping within or between the trails throughout the year, primarily to avoid snow, but also to avoid other seasonal hazards such as floods, extreme desert heat, and wildfires. For my attempt, I'm trying to hike each trail on a continuous, unbroken, end-to-end footpath, and to accomplish this, I must hike across all 4 seasons. I will be posting weekly updates along the way, so you can join me for the journey. Wish me luck. I feel like this never happens, but I've been walking all morning. It's 9 a.m. and the sun is up over that ridge. You can see it's about to come over. I'm about to get struck in the face by it. You can see the shade down there. I'm telling you, within 20 minutes, it'll be all over me. But it's been so nice having this ridge to block the sun all morning. That just eliminated 2 hours of direct sun exposure, hard, hot sun exposure for my day. I could have just as easily been on the other side of the ridge and just be baked by it all day. Once the sun gets high enough, it doesn't matter where you are, which side of the ridge, you're going to get baked. But it just so happened that I'm walking the blocked side of the ridge all morning as the sun's coming up, which is just a great feeling. So I have a water cache coming up right up here, which is good because I'm now officially out of water as of 5 minutes ago. And then I think it's like 20 miles ahead or so, there is something like a gas station in a town, more like a gas station where I can get resupplied and recharged. So that's the plan for today. Hopefully get there relatively quickly, not lose too much time there, and then get back on trail. Alrighty, water cache number 2, big thank you. Drop my bottle off and back on trail now. So that was the first win for the day. That's the first cold water that I've had on trail so far. It's coming out of a spring, so it's chilled in the earth. And then I thought that I had left my sunscreen at the overpass in the shade back there, but then I just found it. So that's awesome because my hands had started to sunburn, and I wasn't planning to be able to get sunscreen. So that's good that I'll at least stop whatever burning's happening as of now. I feel like I've been moving relatively fast today, and I feel like I'm kind of learning more and more piece by piece about the desert. Yesterday, the reason I kind of, not like truly bonked out, but I had to call it quits early yesterday, it was because I did not drink enough water in the morning, and it was hotter than it was today. But I think the bigger contributing factor was that I didn't drink enough water in the morning. So that's something I'll have to keep in mind going ahead.
I learned this trick from the Arizona Trail. That is a sycamore tree, which means there's a creek down there. So I'm listening to a podcast as I'm seated here where the panel is discussing kind of like tips for the first time hiking the PCT, and all three of the people on the panel have hiked it one or more times. And so I was listening to it earlier, and I just kind of like flipped it back on as I was seated here, and one of the guests is talking about how when they were hiking the Southern California desert section, which I'm on right now, they said that as you'd hike along, if you could just see some tree in the distance where it looked like there was decent shade, you didn't even have to guess. You just know that people were taking a mid-afternoon, siesta there, or some people would be taking a break there. And especially the prime trees, you'd walk up and there'd be 20 to 25 hikers just seated in a circle under the tree. And it's just funny because right now it is mid-afternoon and I am seated under what is one of the most glorious shade trees that I have found in the entire desert so far. So I would imagine when they're kind of chuckling about how people take siestas under the shade of trees out here, that this must be one of the ones that would come to mind, because this is like, it's near a creek, which, I mean, a creek is truly an oasis out here. Creek is right down there. And then just the shade from this tree is just magnificent. I'm going to turn the camera around so you can see the trunk behind me, how big that trunk is. It's massive. I mean, look at that. So anyway, it was just funny to be listening to the podcast and then to be seated under a tree, but then also to understand that what I'm seeing is not normal. I'm here by myself. Normally there would be 25 people seated here. I feel like I can already see how the earth has been kind of turned up on the ground from all the people who have been seated here under the shade of this tree. It looks like a lot of footsteps in this area. So anyway, it's just interesting to observe how, as of right now, my experience is so different from the other people on the trail, because I'm out here hiking solo. But I think this will all change relatively soon. I would imagine within this week or maybe next week, I'll start to meet hikers as I catch up to them. If I do end up competing in those races, I'm going to go out of my way to call myself an ultra marathon walker. I'm pretty sure I will pass those people again. It's kind of the game of the tortoise and the hare. There's that book, Born to Run. Again, that title sells a lot more copies than Born to Walk. A lot more shoes too. And they talk about exhaustion hunting, where they jog to hunt animals in like Africa. Like maybe that's the original style of hunting, was because we can sweat. We're the only mammal that can sweat. If you just jog and are relentless, you can exhaust animals in the prairie to death, to where they just keel over. Trail runners annihilated. All right, I never have any idea what's still functioning, because everything is closed because everyone's already come by. But this place is supposed to have outlets that I can charge at. And I don't know, like showers or something. So I'm going to see if they're even still doing that right now, because if so, I'm going to charge my stuff here. And so it's going to take 3 hours for all that to charge. And then I have to walk about 1.5 miles to the nearest convenience store, resupply food, and then walk back. And in that time, I think my stuff will be mostly charged. Then I'll pick it back up and get back on trail. So departing the Warner Community Resource Center, big thank you to them for allowing me to stay there. In the evening, it was closed when I got there, although the outside hiker area was open. But in the evening, they randomly had an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, and they let me just sit inside to be outside of the sun. It was really interesting to listen in on that. But meeting. It seems like a really awesome organization, and yeah, just a good resource for people in general. Yeah, it was very interesting sitting in on that. You know, another one of those, like, you're hiking across America experiences, and you never know when you're gonna have these like insights into society. You know, like, who would think sitting in on an AA meeting would happen on your hike, and that if it did happen on your hike, that you'd find it so like fascinating. Alrighty, so stitching together some updates here. It is now 9:30 p.m. I had to hop off trail back there to do a food resupply and recharge all of my electric devices. I accomplished all that within about the span of 3.5 hours. And I was thrown a curveball. The store that I was planning to resupply my food at was closed. So, oh my God, look at that. It's a desert rat. It was funny because he was running right at me. They have very bad eyesight. And like me, they tend to like to run on the trail. I'm not trying to mess with them. I could walk off it, but I know that he'll hop off. Yeah, you're good, dude. If you just let me pass you. Okay, cool. Anyway, yeah, I hopped off trail to do the resupply. I was only able, for reasons I won't go into, I was only able to resupply tiny bags of chips and ramen. And the funny thing about the ramen is I don't even carry a stove anymore or fuel, so I'm just gonna have to soak that in like creek water or yeah. And so anyway, I got enough calories to send me 40 miles down the trail where I can get my next hopefully resupply, and then on to Idlewild, which is 80 miles down the trail. And anyway, yeah, as of 5 p.m. today, I had gone 24 miles. So I want to hike out hopefully 6 more miles to at least get me up to 30 miles today. So that's what's on the agenda. How beautiful. Just walking through a desert prairie surrounded by mountains on all sides. Anyway, that's all I got. Haven't really filmed much yet today because it's just been hot and miserable. But this is the first thing that's actually different today. So these giant pink boulders. Feels kind of like the Flintstones. Alrighty, I'm here at Mike's place. I guess he has a house back here. And he's left water tanks out for hikers to use. So I'm in the process of loading up, I think something like 4.5 liters of water. And then I'm going to drink 2 liters of water. Because I have now roughly 26 miles to go until the next supply of water, and I only have the ability to carry about 4.5 liters of water. I couldn't really imagine that there would be a 26-mile water carry stretch, but that's what I'm about to walk into. So I'm now 23 miles into what is going to be a 26-mile water carry. I guess if I hit the road up here and there's a cache, it would be a 25-mile water carry, which is cool. That's the longest water carry, going to be the longest water carry I have ever done. I'll get a lot of trying to move quickly because it's supposed to be 100 degrees Fahrenheit today. So it's kind of a funny comparison, but these purple flowers actually have a vibrant aroma. And to me, it smells like grape candy. And the whole hill, the whole mountain I've been hiking the last, I don't know, since yesterday, is just covered in these purple flowers. So the whole hike has just been the smell of grapes, or at least grape candy, and these other bushes that have white flowers that smell like jasmine. So you'll have to add the imagination of those aromas to your experience watching this. So I'm walking right now off of Mount San Jacinto down into Idlewood. It's a 3-mile hike down very steep grade into town, and then to get back up to the PCT, it'll be 3 miles hike right back up that steep grade. So that's 6 miles round trip. I called the hostel to see if there's a hostel in town, to see if they'd be willing to shuttle me, and I was willing to pay them for it to pick me up. Like, you know, this road goes up, there's a parking lot up there. It would reduce it to like 1.5 mile walk down and back up. But they said they don't do that, which is another difference on the PCT from the AT. On the AT, everybody was happy to help you out, come pick you up. And sometimes they wouldn't even charge you if it's with the hostel. So much easier than walking. So how many days ahead are the nearest people, you think?
It's been a slow trickle, so I'm sure there's like 5 people you're going to pass in the next day.
Wow.
Either way, those are not.
I don't
see anything.
Pretty clean.
Yeah.
Nothing on the wood.
I feel like our cursor is low.
I didn't know you brought fungus out here, Sharon.
Not at all. I also didn't really see what I was touching. Okay, go ahead and move it.
That's like 2 turns, so you should be plenty good. That's right up my bullwood.
That was right.
All right, I am hiking my way back up this awful mountain. I say awful, it's beautiful. To give you a perspective of what I hiked into to get into town, I'm going all the way up like there, and I hiked all the way down something like that. You can see that ridge, it's still going down into the town, which is roughly right about there. In fact, I think you can see it through the trees right there, a little bit of it. That was a long hike into town. And this trail is much steeper than that trail. That's the public trail that everyone uses. This is the weird trail that like people who want to challenge use, but it's faster, even though it's more miserable. So I'm just quickly documenting this for fun. Idlewild is way back down there. I still got a little ways to go up this mountain. I'm trying to get a move as quickly as I can. The thing I want to emphasize here is, look, you can see the sunlight line approaching me right now. I'm in the shade. The sun's coming up over this hill. And as it rises up over the hill, once it gets at a high enough angle, it's going to be coming down on me. Pausing to film again, I've hiked another 20 minutes and you can see the shade is a lot farther back now because I've come up a much steeper grade at this point. With a steeper grade, the sun has to rise to a much higher angle to get over it. So as I move up quickly, as the grade increases, I'm actually able to get ahead of the shade coming up. Again, I'm over analyzing. I just think it's interesting. So I'm noticing off on the horizon an appearance of clouds, but those are not clouds. So you should be able to see the ground. Like if I look over here, you can see through the haze, the ground. But when you look out beyond that ridge line, it just looks like a sea, like an ocean or a great fog bank. But I'm pretty sure that's not fog. I suspect that that is haze, smoke from the fire that's about 120 miles ahead on the trail. So fingers crossed that that they get that fire put out, because that's definitely concerning for California and also concerning for me in terms of proceeding ahead on trail. No easy way across that one.